Okay, hi everybody, my name's Brian Quinn. I'm a developer for Learning Pool. I'm here today to talk to you all about working in a distributed open source project. So I joined Learning Pool in, when was it? March 2011. And prior to this, I'd worked as a .NET developer and moving to PHP, and Moodle was my first foray really into open source software. Learning Pool, our company, who worked all the time in open source software, basically taken the Moodle LMS, which I'm sure a lot of you know and love, some of you love maybe, and we run our servers on Ubuntu. Our database is MySQL. Yeah, so previously I'd been using Visual Studio.NET, and the license for that ran like £1,000. It switched from C# to NetBeans, which was free pretty much, and all my other tools were free. Yeah, so I got involved in Adapt back in 2013. I think it was on the back of a presentation that Sven and Daryl gave, inviting collaborators on this new technology they had. They came over to the office in Derry. We had a showcase in the boardroom where they demonstrated this single-page application that loaded JSON files dynamically and displayed them responsibly. So basically, from the smartphone in your pocket to the 27-inch iMac on your desktop, it looked perfect. It was sight to behold in the world of like next kind of articulate type learning, which was prevalent at the time. And as a company, Learning Pool were on board right away. We were like, we want to be a part of this. And I've got to admit that our reasons weren't completely unselfish, because I joined Learning Pool in 2011, and we had an old Windows-based application, an authoring tool, which actually produced a lot of that next type content, which wasn't that eye-catching. And having seen that with the code base, it wasn't something that we wanted to maintain going forward. Basically, Visual Basic was VB6, which it was written in, came out in 1998, and it was retired by Microsoft in 2008. And 2013, we didn't want to support it. So immediately we identified two distinct streams of work, which is slightly different for a normal open source project. We had the Adapt framework and the Adapt authoring tool, which we would take the lead on. 4 weeks after the introduction, I think we had like a fairly solid working prototype. We had proved the concept that we could create content, JSON files, and have the Adapt framework run it for us. But what we realized was actually we had to change kind of tracks midstream and concentrate some of our efforts on the framework as well and help out with that. Specifically, we did that with assisting in some of the plugin development, which was good for us because it gave us an insight into not only the authoring tool development, the server-side application, but we were no longer treating the framework as a black box type thing, and we were getting our hands dirty and we knew how things sit together. So in 2014, we got the proof of concept completed. We released framework version 1, and we brought more collaborators on board, Deltanet, Exalt, and LearnChamp. In 2015, there was a major refactoring of the framework. Version 2 was released. It supported a lot of good stuff. We had more developers, Matt, all AP came on board. It was a very busy time indeed. The documentation was reworked by Chuck. And we got out the first version of the authoring tool. 2016, last year, there were consistent releases of the framework. We've got the multi-language support, we've got support for menu locking, page locking, single-page courses, a lot of good stuff. Versions 2 and 3 of the authoring tool, that's support for the UI refresh, which Simon worked on, and the user management stuff, which is just recently gone in by Tom Taylor from Kenya. So dogfooding is a term in software development, which means basically that you kind of test your own thing that you're working on before you release it to customers. And in the authoring tool, we did this a lot at Learning Pool. It was a bit of a baptism of fire to have like a young authoring tool kind of put into the wild among our instructional designers. We had hard deadlines to meet, and we're within literally shouting distance from you when things went wrong. But it seemed to work well for us, and it was always good to get feedback. Led to a very rapid iterative development style, which I think has kind of served us well since then. Yeah, so at this point, I want to get back to the open source efforts. As you can see, there's no I in open source. To touch on a point, we have a lot of people from different computing companies working on the same thing. And from this point on, I'd like to talk about how we actually do that. So if you take a look at the map here, these are a map of all the Adapt Framework contributions since until 2017. We've got USA, Ireland, UK, Austria, Israel, and India in there. As you can see, we're split across 4 time zones. So we've had various tools and various workflows over the years, but I think we've kind of recently, well, over the past 18 months, we've kind of settled into that flow, which kind of works well for us. So I'm going to talk you through those. So in the advanced track here, I'm going to assume that everybody's familiar with Git and GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is basically our repository for our source code, all our plugins, everything is there. It's also the location for all issues. So basically, the issues in GitHub have become our to-do list. So things like this, you know, Scrum Cloud narrative component not being visited, add a logging system, enhancements. You can see that the issues are tagged with labels. For example, enhancements, bugs, a non-breaking change. We also have a tag for a good first bug, which is to encourage users who might not be that familiar with development on the framework to maybe pick up. So the barrier to raising an issue in GitHub is basically just a simple email address, sign up, get a username, password, and you're good to go. In addition to GitHub, we use a browser extension called ZenHub. Basically, it displays the issues we've seen there on the previous page in a swimlane content, swimlane display, which is more useful for collaboration and dishing out work, which Matt uses on a Monday morning call. So this is an example of the swimlane style interface that you can see in ZenHub. So new issues are things which have just been recently raised with the framework. Backlogs are things which have been examined by the team and moved into like a kind of to-do state. On hold is when the issue is valid, but we either can't do it because there's not enough detail in the ticket, or it's been blocked by another piece of work that's not being completed yet. In progress are when tickets have been picked up by a developer and they're being actively worked on, and done is when a issue has been worked on, the pull request has been created, it's been approved, and it's been merged. So having a team split geographically over the entire planet, really, I guess, the various tools that we get around this. Gitter is a web-based chat room that we use, and for me, it's been a fantastic product. Previously, we've kind of like flip-flopped between Skype and HipChat and the rest of it, but Gitter works well for our ecosystem because it integrates tightly with GitHub. Basically, you can sign in with a GitHub login or a Twitter login, and you're good to post messages. You can IM people if you know who you want to contact. There's chat rooms dedicated to the framework, the authoring tool, the documentation side of things, the upcoming pieces of work like XAPI, that kind of stuff, for more in-depth conversations. So you can see here, basically these are our conversations, our rooms. These are individual users who I'm talking to. There's Matt, there's Thomas having a chat about something. You can see activity on this pane indicates the pull requests and the issues that have been raised on the framework. So, like I said, Gitter is a fantastic product, but it does have some shortcomings. The main thing is that it doesn't have voice calling. And we do need voice calling because we have a weekly catch-up on a Monday at 11 a.m., which Chuck gets out of bed, I think, at 5 to 10.
4:45.
4:45, yeah, that's dedication. And Monday at 11 a.m. for the framework, and Tuesday at 10 in the afternoon, actually, yeah, for a catch-up on the authoring tool. It's basically a place for us all to like come together and talk about what's been done, what's to do, what the availability is like, and if there's anything else we should be aware of. And there's Pete yesterday in full swing, dishing out work. Yeah, I should say that the catch-up calls, I think, have been a stalwart of the kind of project since the start. I mean, we've changed various packages and stuff, but we've always kind of kept that line of communication open, and it works well for us, and I think we'll keep it open in the future for a long time. So at this point, I want to touch into the kind of mechanics on how code gets committed. And that's via the GitHub pull request mechanism. GitHub have actually recently changed a lot of the UI to mimic the way we've been working anyway, with +1s, and they've got like green checks from core user groups and that kind of stuff, which works perfectly for us. So basically, anyone can create a pull request, but there are a few conventions. You create a branch which references the issue number, for example, issue #1234. That makes it easy for people to see what you're actually referring to and link back to the ticket and view the detail on that. The second thing to note is the rules before a merge. So right from the start off, we said that 3 approvals were required from core collaborators. Again, this is because there are various companies working on this, and we don't want any one particular company to monopolize a feature or real changes in that wouldn't make sense for the wider community. I think this requirement might have actually come back from the fact that when we were working on version 1 of the framework and not on the authoring tool, we were actually iterating quite rapidly, and we did have breaking changes. So as an organization which was at the time dogfooding the product to our instructional designers, breaking changes, they were a pain for me. I got it in the ear. And obviously if they were a pain for me, then if we did the same thing and broke changes for people who were early adopters, that would have been a disaster for the project, because it would have caused people to lose confidence in the product. And those are exactly the kind of people that we wanted to keep on board from the start. So this simple rule, 2 collaborators plus another collaborator, seems to work well for us. So a simple pull request here. You can see Simon. Yeah, just a small change to the last file. This is quite a rudimentary example, but it illustrates the point. So Thomas from LearnChamp was approved, Tom from Kineo, and Matt. So it's good to go. And it's merged. So final thoughts. I think it's fair to say at this point that adapt development is more like a meritocracy. There are specialists within particular teams. Matt's given a talk on Spur next. He's the go-to guy for that. Always a genius. Chuck's the documentation guy. I'm the often told person. But we don't really have the same kind of hierarchies that you might find in, the respective companies, imagine, that we work for. It's basically, if someone wants to do the work and they do the work to good standards, it gets done, it gets in. That's the way things work. A little quote there, it said that it's in the Scrum Guide that self-organizing teams choose how best to accomplish their work rather than being directed by others outside the team. And that's exactly the way we work. Something else worth mentioning is that although we're quite a tight-knit team, we've been working together for various years. We're always looking for new people to join in to help them when they can, and if anybody wants to, the Git rooms are always open. It's good to go. You can drop by and say hello or ask about progress on a feature or raise an issue. So that's pretty much me. I hope this short section has been helpful for you in understanding how I kind of work as part of the development team. I think what's impressive about the event today is the size number of people here compared to the last meetup we had. There isn't an Adapt office, there isn't a headquarters that you can go to, there isn't a foundation or company that's applying bags of money into this thing. It kind of relies on the goodwill and the vision of the collaborating companies, the companies that want to drive this thing forward, that have seen the benefits that it brings to them, the wider community, and also for the users, for the community members who raise issues on GitHub, who drop by Gitter, ask questions, who make forum posts. And we found recently as well that I don't know how to explain it, but we have people who maybe 18 months ago were asking questions are now able to answer the same questions of people who are joining the community again. So that takes a bit of a load off, and it's actually helping in some way. Aside from that, just thanks to the other open source projects that we rely on, such as jQuery, Backbone.js, Node.js. Too many to mention. I'm having a raw street moment here, but you get the idea. And just thanks to the core team guys, you know, for all the good work, and thanks for listening, everybody.